Now, next topic is Dr. Jihye's Accelerating a Circular Economy in Korea Policy Directions and Key Strategies.
Good afternoon. This is Jihye from KEI. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this session. KEI is a government-funded research agency, and we are working on specifically on this resource circulation. In Korea, we have made significant efforts to pursue a circular economy, and we have developed policy directions and key strategies. Especially last year, we enacted the Promotion Act to enable these policy directions and strategies. If you look at the Article 17 that details the circular economy, especially in this full life cycle in terms of this product, I believe that this will be pursued further. Today, I'd like to talk about how the Korean government has worked towards this circular economy and highlight the main policy directions. Carbon neutrality has become in the center of these the global aspect, and along with supply chain management and digitalization and traceability and transparency have become more important, especially the international standardization, including ISO. The circular economy has become a vital aspect that we should consider. If you look at these images, if you the more than around 45% of greenhouse gases are all related to products, which means that we should work on how to increase the resource efficiencies. And as you can see, how we design products, and that will dictate 80% of the product life cycle. So specifically, as a preventive measure, product design phase has become even more important. And that's one of our focus areas in the Korean government. And if on this slide, this shows this shift from the waste management to the circular economy. In 1986, we started a Waste Control Act, and it was mainly dealt with safe waste treatment. And then we shifted to the resource circulation, and we adopted EPR and the volume-based waste-free system. That way, these acts played an important role to increase the material of recycle. And starting from 2016, we laid legal foundations with the promotion of transition, circular economy, and society. And last year, in particular, the Act on Promotion and Transition to CE, Economy and Society, has been enacted. Especially, we have the legal basis represented by Article 17. The term circular economy was first used in Korea back in 2020. And in terms of implementation of a carbon neutrality, the circular economy has taken a center stage. And for us we have a Korean implementation plan was disclosed. And these provide a framework for implementing the circular economy. And at that time, we realized a need to have the Act on the circular economy. That way, we introduced the promotion of circular. This is what we call Circular Economy Society Act. And this year, the research activities are underway, starting from the 2027, and for the next 10 years, the research will continue. And starting from this month, we set up a forum in earnest. So it's very meaningful for those of you who are here today to provide your input and feedback going forward. Then let me just touch upon the Circular Economy Society Act, how this act is different from the previous legislation. The Circular Economy Society Act, it was started from the waste treatment. The scope and all the content was started from the waste treatment management. In contrast, Circular Economy Society Acts is focused on and expanded the scope. Recycled content is part of it, and all the aspects that we have discussed are part of this Economy Society Act. And diverse project will be carried out in accordance with this act. And second, I'd like to highlight the Article 17 and 20. Article 17 specified the eco-design elements. This is a new provision. And Article 20, we ensure the provision ensures the use of the sustainable products by guaranteeing the right to repair. This shows that from the production phase, we will put the emphasis on the circular economy. And thirdly, I like to talk about the circular resources. These are the ones, the resources that are exempt from the waste regulation. Of course, we had this recognition system in place, and as part of this new legislation, we realize that we recognize and designate some materials, and this will include scrapped material, and all the batteries, used batteries, will be covered by this designated and notified as circular resources. And even if there's no legal basis, and there has been some difficulties because of this lack of a legal basis, and we like to close the gap and to create a new market, we will create these regulatory sandbox system. Going forward, the eco-design framework, I believe that there are three pillars. First one is environment, second economic and social aspect. If you look at the environmental aspect, this has been highlighted more than ever. Circularity and environmental protection is important, that we need to reduce the carbon footprint while reducing and improving resource efficiency. But also this will translate into creating a new industry. So it's not only a regulation, it can also serve as a new opportunity. So it can be viewed as a new business model. This will help us create a new ecosystem. Therefore, technological innovation as well as all our structures that are equipped to the circular economy, systemic innovation is required. And for that to happen, we need finance and all the infrastructure. All these holistic approach is required. And this is also need to be linked to consumption and consumer behaviors. We should help our consumers to have a better understanding of these consumer circular economy, and data platform is needed in that respect. In designing that, we have key barriers in various areas, and we have many challenges. I'd like to highlight these three main challenges. First one is that all the standards and methodologies differ from country to country, and all these countries have a different perspective. This can create a new trade barriers, and this can also increase the risk of greenwashing. And this will actually increase complexity and compliance costs for businesses. And this will apply to recycled content as well. Then what is exactly recycled materials, and how we certify that, and how do we calculate that? These are the questions that we should define in more concrete terms, and we should achieve the economies of scale. Then we should expand the market, And then how we secure these used materials and how we can create the demand. So there are a lot of tasks that need to be addressed. Lastly, we have barriers relating to infrastructure and technology. Like we should have advanced infrastructures to make it happen, because all these the wasted materials, we need to it has an impact of these recycled content. So we need to improve the infrastructure in the early stages of the supply chain, and whether it's a battery, plastic, and automobiles, it should go beyond the boundaries. All the components and materials should be exchanged freely. And at the same time, international collaboration is required to strengthen competitiveness. Despite that, from the perspective of a circular economy, we need to devise key drivers and enablers. The main one is that's from these low carbon efforts, and the supply chain are the part of that. And we should also come up with some traceability and methodologies and some standardization efforts. In terms of taxonomy, a lot of design related efforts need to be pursued, and there should be some integrated finance across industry and academia should be pursued. What's critical in this area is monitoring. How we should monitor the implementation progress, and if there's any obstacles, then we should address, and we should prioritize our policy efforts based on these the progress. That's why we should come up with monitoring indicators. That's why many countries are working hard on developing monitoring indicators. And starting from 2023, the Korean government has made a lot of efforts, and we have put together some guidelines, and we also established some evaluation systems, and we also have some evaluation of quality and structure for the electronics and packaging materials. Unfortunately, there has been some silos across different ministries. Since we have eco-design elements represented in our Article 17, I believe that this act will improve, because this serves as a framework legislation. So based on, in accordance with this act, the circular resources or circular methodologies and the use of these methodologies and repairability and recyclabilities will all need to be considered, especially including the recycled content, how to promote the use of recycled materials. A lot of projects will be pursued, and R&D efforts will be part of it, and funding and support for export endeavor will be included. And along together, and we have we have all these resource security, a lot of elements. And we do have a separate policies in parallel, especially plastic and EV batteries. I'd like to touch upon these two product categories. In Geneva this August, we have a plastic, the 5-point event will be held, and this shows that plastic has become one of the key areas that we should pay attention. In Korea, plastic waste is one area that we should work on reducing. And as for the distribution of packaging, and we also promote the multi-use cups. And in terms of recycling, we turn our efforts to turn waste plastic into high-value raw materials. And more than anything, we are making a lot of efforts to create a related market. And we also measure and indicate how much of these recycled content are used in those products using these labels. And we all have all these guidelines set for these containers as well. To complement these MR, we also complement these chemical recycling too. All these synthetic packagings, it can be incinerated or buried. So we focus on our efforts to replace these recycled content so that they can replace the oil resources. And this will become an important area in our oil resources. Not just the incineration facilities, we can also come up with an ideas to turn this facility into a recycled site, and we will use pyrolysis, and some of the methodologies will be used for the oil refinery. So related revision has been revised. So we focus on to refine these oil-related resources. In terms of batteries, so far we have focused on the batteries in terms of the promoting these waste batteries, and this may, whether it is remanufacturing or recycling of the new used batteries, we will come up with more concrete methodologies to promote the use of used batteries. I'd like to highlight some of the key messages. We should nurture the related market, and for that to happen, we need to secure these waste resources first, like black powder and other recycled materials need to be increased. To increase that portion, we focus on 50 categories of the electric and electronic products in terms of EPR. All electric and electronic products that have batteries, the scope will be extended to cover those product categories. And technological innovation and some funding in terms of DPP, we should have life cycle tracking system in place. So in parallel, these efforts should be pursued as well. And we need to check how these batteries are created and how these batteries are discarded. So I like to highlight some of the key points in terms of nurturing the related market. We need to have a clear methodologies, especially recycled content, how we should certify. The certification system is in place in Ministry of Environment. We are working on the certification, and MOTIE is working on how to come up with the methodologies on the related certification. Especially from the infrastructure, we need to create this cluster, and the MOTIE will create this cluster facility, and they will provide some support. Whether it is recyclable or repairable, we need to assess performance. It takes a lot of time and a lot of cost, and I believe that we will complete some facility that will do the job, and that means we will have a more timely assessment than before. And especially in terms of battery design, the battery has become a very important element. And we need to come up with the standardization of the eco-design for batteries. And in terms of this eco-design, there are several criteria we need to consider, like a durability or repairability or recyclability. And then, based on what criteria, what kind of methodologies we should develop, and based on that, we can assess against these criteria. So to assess circularity, we need to come up with methodologies. Lastly, I'd like to touch upon the digital-based battery life cycle management system. Currently, we are working on the Ministry of Land and Infrastructure and Transport and MOTIE and Ministry of Environment. And Ministry of Land and Infrastructure Transport is focusing on remanufacturing, and MOTIE is working on reuse, and Ministry of Environment working on recycling. So we will continue our these concerted efforts, and for us to achieve this DPP across all these life cycle, collaboration is the key. But as you can see here in Korea, we also need to collaborate with other ministries as well. So the governance across these ministries is also important. What kind of data we should input and how we should standardize, how SMEs, what kind of support need to be given to our SMEs. All these policies across different related ministries should be strengthened. Especially last year in December, we revised the Korean taxonomy, and this will be foundation for the Korean circular economy. So I believe that these taxonomy provision will be the key part, and there will be a related investment to be made. And lastly, I'd like to touch upon the importance of international collaboration. There's, like we talk about, like frameworks and directions, and these are clear already. If you look at the eco-design, how do we assess the durability? And how do we disclose this information publicly? This international discussion is needed, so I think we should harmonize all these different standards and guidelines. In this respect, I believe this forum is a very important and meaningful event. And going forward, I believe that we continue have exchange of our ideas. That way, we can strengthen our discussion and we can expand the idea of circular economy. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention.